You check your bank account. The number is lower than you expected. You weren't irresponsible. Nothing big happened. That feeling right there, that's what a money leak looks like. Stay with me. We're fixing that today. Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we use the Triggator triangle, budget, save, and pay off debt to help you build a spending plan that fits your life, grow your savings with purpose, and knock out debt with confidence. Okay, before we dive in, I have to say something, because I would be doing you a serious disservice if I didn't. The Triggator budgeting tool is officially live. After everything we've talked about on this show, the spending plans, the alligator expenses, the peace of mind fund, the debt payoff strategies, it's now all inside one tool, built specifically around how you actually get paid, not how the calendar thinks you should live, not how a spreadsheet wants you to operate, around your paycheck. And I am genuinely fired up about this. And here's the part that makes this launch extra special. For a limited number of new members, I am personally opening up my calendar to a free Founders Fast Track setup session, a free 20-minute one-on-one call with me, where we build your first paycheck-based spending plan inside the tool together, set up your alligator expenses the right way, and give you a debt payoff strategy locked in before you leave. This is direct access to the guy who built the system, and it will not be available forever. Head over to Triggator.com to grab one of those spots. We'll talk more about it throughout the episode, but don't wait on that. Here's a question I want you to sit with. What if the biggest financial problem isn't how much you earn? It's how much is quietly leaking out before you even notice it's gone. Not the mortgage, not the car payment, not the grocery run that somehow turned into $247 because the store put the cereal next to the chips. I'm talking about the small stuff, the invisible stuff, the $4.99 here and the $11 there that never triggers an alarm. Because individually, they feel harmless. But here's the thing about leaks. A single drip doesn't flood the basement. 100 drips over time, that's a different story entirely. According to a 2024 report from Pew Research Center, nearly 6 in 10 Americans say that they live paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough, but because they genuinely can't figure out where the money actually goes. That feeling of financial fog? 9 times out of 10, it's not an income problem, it's a leak problem. Today, we're going to leak hunt, and I promise this isn't going to be painful or overwhelming. We're not going to shame you for that forgotten subscription or that bill that hit the wrong week. We're going to give you a simple, repeatable system for finding drips, fixing them fast, and redirecting that money back where it belongs, into your Triggator triangle. Here's what we're covering today. First, a leak audit, a no-stress process for spotting, canceling, negotiating, and pausing the costs that quietly drain your paycheck. Then, we'll talk timing, how aligning your bill due dates with your paydays can stop overdrafts and fees before they start. And finally, we're tackling impulse buying, how a simple system and a short cooling period can be the difference between a spending plan that holds and one that unravels quietly. This is episode 99, one episode away from something big. But before we get there, let's make sure your spending plan has no leaks, because a strong foundation isn't just about what you build, it's about what you protect. Let's get into it. You know that feeling when you check your bank account and the number is just lower than you expected? You weren't irresponsible. You didn't go on a shopping spree. You didn't make any big moves. The money just went somewhere, and you're not totally sure where. That right there is what the leak feels like. And the fix isn't willpower. It's a system. Specifically, it's a leak audit. And once you run one, you'll never look at your spending plan the same way again. Let's define the enemy. A money leak isn't a budgeting failure. It's not a character flaw. A leak is simply a recurring or automatic cost that is no longer earning a spot in your spending plan, whether because you forgot about it, outgrew it, or never really needed it in the first place. The reason leaks are so hard to catch isn't because you're careless. It's because they're designed to be invisible. Free trials that quietly flip into paid, annual renewals that hit just once a year and vanish from memory, price increases buried in cheerful emails with a subject line something like exciting update to your account. These aren't accidents. Business models built around your inattention. And they work because life is busy. You've got paychecks to manage, kids to wrangle, a job to show up for, and approximately 400 other things demanding your attention on any given Tuesday. Subscriptions and auto charges live in the cracks between all of that, which is exactly why a proactive audit is the only reliable fix. Here's the good news. You don't need a finance degree, a color-coded spreadsheet, or a 3-hour Saturday afternoon to do this. 20 minutes. 1 cup of something you enjoy. That's it. Step 1. Pull your last 30 days of transactions from your bank account and any place else that you're using money. You're not analyzing it yet, just gathering. Step 2. Scan for anything that repeats. Subscriptions, memberships, app charges, automatic renewals, annual fees. Look for amounts specifically under $20. Those are the sweet spots where leaks like to hide because they feel so small to cancel and too small to notice. Step 3. Drop everything you find into one of 3 buckets. Keep, cut, or call. Keep means it's actively serving you and worth every dollar. Cut means that you forgot about it, barely use it, or could live without it today. Call means you want to keep the service, but suspect you're overpaying, and a 5-minute chat might get you a better rate. According to a 2023 study by Rocket Money, the average American wastes $23.84 per month on subscriptions they don't actively use. Multiply that across a year, and you're looking at nearly $400 sitting in someone else's pocket. Money that could be sitting in your peace of mind fund instead. Step 4. Act on your list before you close the browser. Don't save it for later. Cancel the cuts now. Schedule the calls this week because the audit only works if it ends in action, not just awareness. Here's a simple move people skip entirely. The negotiation. Before you cancel something, especially a service that you actually use, make a call or open a chat and ask one simple question. Is there a better rate available for me? You'll be surprised how often the answer is yes. Insurance providers, internet companies, streaming bundles, gym memberships, even some software subscriptions. Many of them have retention offers, loyalty discounts, and lower tiers they will not volunteer unless you ask. The worst thing they can say is no, and then you cancel anyway. But the best case, you cut your bill in half without losing the service. This is especially powerful on annual subscriptions. If something auto-renewed at full price in the last 30 days, call and ask about a downgrade or partial refund. Many companies will work with you. Again, only if you ask. Silence is always expensive. The Triggator budgeting tool makes this step a lot easier, by the way. When your spending plan is built around each paycheck, every dollar has an assignment. It becomes immediately obvious when a charge shows up that wasn't planned for. You see the gap in real time, which means you catch the leak fast instead of discovering it 3 months later during a vague sense of financial unease. Now, not every subscription deserves a permanent cancellation. Some things are seasonal. Some things you'll want again in 3 months. And that's where the pause comes in. And it's one of the most underused tools in personal finance. Many services, streaming platforms, fitness apps, software tools, meal kit deliveries offer a pause or hold option that most people don't know exists because it's buried 3 clicks deep in their account settings. A pause lets you stop the billing without losing the account history, your preferences, or your progress. It's a financial snooze button, and it's completely legitimate. The rule of thumb, if you haven't used something in 30 days, pause it. Reassess in 60. If you haven't missed it, cancel. If you have, you'll know it's worth keeping, and you'll use it intentionally going forward rather than passively funding it on autopilot. Pausing is also a low-pressure way to test whether that service is actually adding value to your life, or whether you're just feeling guilty about canceling it because you paid for a year up front. Sunk cost is not a reason to keep something. The money is already spent. What matters now is whether the next dollar is going to be earning its place. You know that scene in Ocean's 11 where the crew spreads out the blueprints of the Bellagio vault? They study every camera angle and they map out every single weakness in the security system before they make their move. You're not winging it. You're not guessing. You're being methodical, identifying every point where money exits your plan, evaluating whether it should, and closing the ones that shouldn't. Danny Ocean didn't walk into the casino hoping for the best. He had a system, and so do you. The difference between people who feel in control of their money and people who feel like it just disappears, the ones in control run the audit. They know the blueprint. They've walked every corridor of their spending plan, and they know exactly what belongs there and what doesn't. That's the foundation of the leak audit. Find it, categorize it, fix it, and use the Triggator budgeting tool to make sure it never sneaks past you again. Next, we're going to talk about something that quietly causes as much damage as forgotten subscriptions. When your bills hit relative to when your paycheck lands. And a simple shift can stop overdraft fees and financial stress before they start. Let's talk about a problem that has nothing to do with how much you earn, how disciplined you are, or how carefully you built your spending plan. It has everything to do with when things happen. Here's the scenario. Your rent or mortgage is due on the 1st. Your car insurance pulls on the 3rd. Your internet bill hits on the 7th. And your paycheck, it lands on the 10th. For 10 days every single month, your bank account is running on fumes. Not because you're broke, but because the timing is broken. That gap between when the money goes out and when the money comes in is one of the sneakiest, most overlooked leaks in personal finance. And today, we're going to fix it. Most people set up their bills once when they first sign up for a service and never think about that due date again. It's just the 15th or the 1st or whatever day the company defaulted to when you created your account. And that default, it was chosen for their convenience, not yours. The result is a spending plan that's technically correct on paper, but consistently stressed in real life. You have the money, it's just not there yet. And in that gap, things go wrong. Overdraft fees trigger. You float one charge on a credit card you didn't plan to use. You transfer from savings to cover something that should have been covered by your paycheck. Each one feels like a small fix, but they add up fast. According to a 2024 study by the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, Americans paid over $9 billion in overdraft fees and non-sufficient fund fees in a single year. And the majority of those fees hit accounts that had incoming deposits within 24 to 72 hours. The money was coming. It just wasn't there yet. That is an enormously expensive timing problem, and it's almost entirely preventable. Here's something that sounds obvious the moment you hear it, but it's quietly destroying the finances of millions of people who use traditional budgeting apps. Every bill needs a paycheck assigned to it before it's due. Not the same day, not the day after, before. Think about how a classic monthly budgeting app works. You open it up, you enter your monthly income, enter your expenses, and it tells you that you're covered. Your mortgage is due on the 1st. Your income will more than cover it. Green light, right? Not so fast. Because that app has no idea that your paycheck doesn't land until the 5th. It sees the math and calls it good. What it doesn't see is the late fee that just quietly showed up in your account because the timing was off. That's not a budgeting failure, that's a system failure. And it's what happens when you plan by month instead of by paycheck. Here's how paycheck planning fixes that. Your mortgage is due May 1st. That means your April 17th paycheck needs to help cover it, not your May 5th paycheck, not your May 1st bank balance, your April 17th dollars. Even better, take half of that mortgage payment from your April 3rd check and park it into a dedicated bill pay account. Take the other half from your April 17th paycheck and do the same thing. By the time May 1st rolls around, the full payment is already sitting there. funded, ready, and waiting. You can even set up automatic transfers so it happens without you lifting a finger. That's the power of paycheck planning. Every dollar has a job the moment it lands. And when every dollar has a job, what you're left with isn't just a balanced budget, it's peace of mind. The Triggator budgeting tool is built around that exact model. You assign bills to specific paychecks, split payments across periods, and fund each one intentionally. So your spending plan reflects what is actually happening in your bank account, not what looks good on a monthly summary. Here's a pattern that catches a lot of biweekly earners off guard. Your bigger bills, mortgage, car payment, insurance, maybe they tend to cluster at the end of the month. Your smaller bills, they maybe tend to hit at the start. So your first paycheck of the month arrives. The small stuff gets covered easily. And you look at your remaining balance and think, hey, I got some margin here. Maybe you spend a little more freely. Then paycheck 2 hits. The big bills come due. And suddenly you feel pinched, stressed, like your plan isn't working, even though it is technically on paper. This isn't a math problem, it's a timing and visibility problem. And the fix is a dedicated bill pay account. The concept is simple. You open a separate checking account, not your everyday spending account, and you use it exclusively to fund and pay your bills. Here's where the magic happens. That big end of the month bill that normally makes paycheck 2 feel suffocating, fund it from paycheck 1, your lighter paycheck, the one where you actually have breathing room. Transfer what it needs straight to your bill pay account and call it done. Now, paycheck 2 arrives and that heavy bill is already handled. You don't feel the pinch. You don't have the stress. You don't find yourself wondering if you have enough to cover it, because you already do. The money is sitting there. The automatic payment then pulls it when the bill due date hits, and you don't have to think about it once. Funded, handled, done. The setup also gives you something traditional budgeting can't: the ability to pay bills on your schedule, not the payee schedule. That bill that's due on the 23rd, fund it from your April 3rd paycheck. Transfer it to your bill pay account that same day. It sits there for 3 weeks, gets debited automatically, and you never feel the hit, because to you, it's already spent the moment you made the transfer. That is what financial peace actually feels like in practice. Once your paycheck assignments are mapped and your bill pay account is set up, there's one final step that makes the whole system from good to genuinely life-changing. Automate everything. For your big ticket items, your mortgage, your student loans, your car payments, split the amounts across 2 paychecks and set up direct deposits to send that portion straight into the bill pay account the moment your paycheck hits. You never see it in your spending account. It never tempts you. It just goes where it's supposed to, automatically, every single pay period. If your employer doesn't support multiple direct deposits, set up an automatic transfer from your checking account on payday morning. Same result, one-time setup. Then, on the payee side, set up automatic payments from that bill pay account for every bill that allows it. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, subscriptions, all of it. Once those automations are in place, your bills are essentially running themselves. The money flows in, splits correctly, and parks in the right account, and pays the right bill on the right day. Every time, without you having to remember, monitor, or manually move anything. Think of it like the old Ronco food dehydrator infomercial. You just set it and forget it. Except instead of beef jerky, what you're producing is financial stability. The stress of wondering whether a bill is covered, gone. Late fees from the timing gaps, gone. A mental load of tracking what's due, when, gone. The system handles it, and you get to just live your life knowing the foundation is solid. This is the vision behind the Triggator budgeting tool, a spending plan that's a paycheck-driven, assignment-based, and built to run like clockwork, so that you're not consistently managing your money manually. That's the plan. The plan does the work. In Home Alone, Kevin McAllister doesn't just set traps, he times them. He knows exactly when the wet bandits are going to hit the door, exactly which step they're going to slip on, and exactly when the iron swings. The whole thing works because the sequence is right. Change the order, mess up the timing, and the whole plan falls apart. Your bills are the wet bandits. Your paycheck is Kevin. And your job is to make sure that your money is ready and waiting in the right place at the right time before anything comes through the door. When your bill pay account is funded, your transfers are automated, and your spending plan is built around each paycheck, you stop reacting to your own finances and start running them like a system. The trap is set, the timing is right, and the wet bandits, they don't stand a chance. A paycheck first mindset, a dedicated bill account, and full automation, that's how you turn financial stress into financial silence. Up next, we're tackling the third and final leak in today's episode, the impulse buy. Because even with the perfect audit and the perfect time bill system, one unplanned purchase at the wrong moment can undo a lot of good work. And we've got a simple, judgment-free system that stops it before it starts. You can map every due date, fund your bill pay account, and automate the whole system down to the last dollar. And then, on a completely random Wednesday afternoon, you see something. Maybe it's in your Instagram feed. Maybe it's an email that says, last chance, 40% off ends tonight. Maybe you're just bored and your thumb found Amazon before your brain had a chance to weigh in. And just like that, a spending plan that was airtight has a new hole in it. Here's the thing though, this is not a willpower problem. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, makes a point that stops a lot of people in their tracks. When researchers study people who appear to have tremendous self-control, it turns out they're not all that different from everyone else. The difference is that disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that doesn't require heroic willpower in the first place. He puts it even more directly when he says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That is exactly what today is all about. Not more discipline, not more guilt, a better system. The reason impulse buying is so damaging to the spending plan isn't just the dollar amount, it's the timing. An impulse buy, almost by definition, is unassigned. It wasn't in the plan. It didn't have a paycheck attached to it, which means the money that covers it has to come from somewhere else. And that somewhere else is usually a category that already has a job. Your grocery budget gets raided, your debt payment gets trimmed, your alligator fund contribution gets skipped just this once. Individually, each of those feel like small compromises, but compromises stack. And a spending plan that gets raided often enough stops feeling like a plan at all, and it starts feeling more like a suggestion. One that you ignore regularly. And once that happens, the plan loses its power entirely. The other reason impulse buys are so effective is speed. The entire purchase experience, from the moment something catches your eye to the moment your payment is confirmed, it's been engineered to be fast and as frictionless as possible. One-click purchasing, saved payment methods, countdown timers, only 3 left in stock. Every one of those is a tool designed to compress the time between wanting something and buying it, because the industry knows that time is your best defense, which is exactly why we're going to use time and planning intentionally. Here's the reframe that changes everything. The goal isn't restriction, it's planning. Because if it's in the plan, it's not an impulse. It's a decision you've already made on your terms with a clear head. Think about it this way. What if your spending plan had a line item called Random Amazon Nice to Haves? $35 a paycheck, sitting there, already assigned and ready to go. Now, when you're scrolling and something catches your eye, you're not breaking the plan. You're using the plan. That's a completely different transaction psychologically. No guilt, no rating another category, no rationalizing at 11 p.m. Just a funded, intentional category doing exactly what it's told to do. And here's the bonus. If nothing catches your eye that period, that $35 doesn't disappear. You roll it forward to the next paycheck, and now you've got $70 for something worth waiting for. Or, better yet, throw it at a debt and let it do some real damage on your snowball. Either way, you win. The money had a job. You stayed in control, and nothing snuck up on you. According to a 2024 study by the National Retail Federation, impulse purchases account for roughly 40% of all consumer spending, and the average impulse buy is over $81. That means most unplanned purchases are already above what most people would intentionally budget for random spending, which is exactly why naming the category and giving it a number before the temptation shows up puts you back in the driver's seat. The purchase doesn't change, your relationship to it does. Now, having a planned category for spontaneous spending doesn't mean the first thing that pops up on your Amazon home screen automatically gets the green light. Having the funds available is step one. Step two is making sure what you spend them on actually deserves them. That's where the cooling period comes in. For everything that pops up that you think deserves that fund, give it 24 to 48 hours to pull the trigger. Not because you can't have it, but because the version of you that comes back to it tomorrow is a calmer, clearer decision maker than the version of you who just saw it for the first time 30 seconds ago. In A Knight's Tale, there's a moment when William's opponent looks him dead in the eye and says, "You have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting." It's meant to be devastating, and for our purposes, it's the perfect test for every impulse purchase that shows up in your funded category. Before you spend those planned dollars, hold them up and ask, has it been weighed? Have I thought about whether this is what I actually want? Or is it just that I want something? Has it been measured? Does it fit what I was hoping to spend this on? Or is it just the first thing that showed up? And most importantly, is it found wanting? Is it really the best use of this money? Or should I return with something more worthy? Most impulse items, given 48 hours, don't survive that test. And the ones that do, buy them without a second thought because they earned it. Here's the truth that holds more spending plans together than any spreadsheet formula ever could. People don't fail because their plans lack discipline. They fail because the plan has no room for being human. A spending plan with zero joy in it is a plan on borrowed time. Your brain will eventually revolt. And when it does, it won't be a $35 Amazon purchase. It will be something bigger, faster, and a whole lot less planned. Joy that isn't built in always finds a way to break in, so build it in. I've told you the story before, but it bears repeating for anyone who's new here. I have a friend, and this friend loves socks. Not plain white Walmart socks. I'm talking about schnazzy socks. Argyle, bold colors, patterns, the works. And for a while, he felt guilty every time he bought a pair because it wasn't in the plan. So we fixed the plan. We gave the socks a line item, a small one, but it was there. It was real, and it was his. And you know what happened? He stopped feeling guilty. He stopped overspending to compensate, and his plan finally felt like his, not a punishment somebody handed to him. Your version might not be socks. It might be a video game, a hobby supply run, a nice dinner, or a book that you've been eyeing. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that your spending plan has a category that says, "This is for you." No justification required. Because a plan that you can actually live with is worth 1,000 plans that you abandon by week 3. The Triggator budgeting tool is built with this in mind. Joy is part of the framework, not an afterthought. And if you want some help figuring out the right amount to build into your income and your goals, that's exactly the kind of thing we work through together in the Founders Fast Track Setup session. Head to Triggator.com and grab one of those spots while they're still available. A planned spending category, a cooling down period to make sure your dollars go to something worthy, and a built-in joy fund that keeps you human. That's how you stop the impulse leak for good. without white knuckling your way through every temptation. Coming up, we're bringing it all together in our wrap up. Your daily challenge, how today's 3 strategies strengthen every side of your Triggator triangle, and one final reminder that could change how your very next paycheck feels the moment it lands. Let's take a step back for a moment. Before today, money leaks were quiet. They were invisible. They were the financial equivalent to a slow drip behind the walls. You couldn't hear it. You couldn't see it. But over time, it's doing real damage. Today, you change that. You now have a name for what's happening. And more importantly, you have a system to stop it. We ran the audit. We found the drips, the forgotten charges, the subscriptions coasting on autopilot, the services that stopped earning their spot in your spending plan long ago, not by hoping money would be there when the bills came due, but by assigning every dollar to a paycheck before that due date arrives, funding the heavy bills from the lighter paycheck and letting automation handle the rest. And we tackled the impulse, not with guilt or restriction, but with a plan that had room for joy built right into it, and a cooling period to make sure that every dollar went somewhere worthy. 3 leaks, 3 systems, 1 spending plan that's tighter, calmer, and more intentional than it was an hour ago. That's not a small thing. That's the kind of progress that compounds, because a spending plan without leaks doesn't just hold, it builds. Today's challenge is the leak hunt. And I want you to do it before the day is over. Step 1, check your bank statements and your banking apps and scroll through the last 30 days of transactions. You're looking for anything that repeats: subscriptions, membership, automatic renewals, app charges. Don't analyze it yet, just find them. Step 2, drop each one into a bucket. Keep, cut, or call. Keep means it's actively serving you. Cut means you forgot you had it or you've outgrown it. Call means you want to negotiate a better rate before you decide. Step 3, act on one thing right now. Cancel 1 cut, schedule 1 call for tomorrow, or open your spending plan, whether it's on paper, in a spreadsheet, or inside the Triggator budgeting tool, and add a line item for something that brings you joy. Schnazzy socks, a hobby fund, a random nice to have Amazon category. Whatever fits your life. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to fix one thing, because 1 plugged leak redirected to your Triggator triangle is 1 step closer to a plan that doesn't just balance, it builds. Before we close, I want to hear from you. As you listen today, did any charges pop into your head that you know you need to cancel? What's been living rent-free in your spending plan? If you set up a bill pay account and automated your biggest bills, what would change about how your payday feels? What is 1 joy category you've been leaving out of your plan? The thing you keep spending on impulsively because you never gave it a home. Email me at podcast@Triggator.com or message me on Instagram, Facebook, or X @Triggator. If this episode helped you, follow the show so that the next sneaky leak doesn't stand a chance against your plan. Leave a review, especially if today helped you see your spending plan in a whole new way. Share this episode with a friend whose money always seems to disappear before the next paycheck. And follow @Triggator on social media for tips, real-life money wins, and the kind of encouragement that actually moves the needle. I have to say this clearly because it matters. The Triggator budgeting tool is live, not coming soon. Live. Everything we've talked about. The leak audit, the paycheck-based spending plan, the bill pay strategy, the alligator expenses, the joy fund, the debt payoff planner. It's all inside 1 tool built around how you actually get paid. Head over to Triggator.com and see everything that's inside and start your free trial today. And for a limited number of new members, I am personally opening up my calendar for a free Founders Fast Track setup session, a 20-minute one-on-one call with me, where we will build your first paycheck-based spending plan inside the tool together. We're going to set up alligator expenses the right way, lock in your debt payoff strategy, and make sure that you leave with a plan that is actually ready to work. This is direct access to the person who built the system, and it's not available forever. Go to Triggator.com and grab your spot before they're gone. And if you're not quite ready to jump into the tool yet, Start here. Visit Triggator.com and download the free Triggator ebook. It walks you through the entire triangle: budget, save, pay off debt, and it gives you the foundation you need to plug the leaks, build the plan, and finally feel in control of your money. Next episode is episode 100. 100 episodes of Master Your Money. And we're going with something special. We're talking about free money, literally, the kind your employer is offering and most people are leaving on the table every single paycheck. We're covering your 401k match and how to capture every dollar of it, your FSA and the quiet wealth building strategy most people completely miss, and a full audit of the workplace perks sitting in your benefits portal right now. Counseling services, discounts, tuition benefits, employee stock purchase plans, all those things could be doing serious work for your Triggator triangle without costing you a thing. Episode 100, free money. Don't miss it. Leaks don't announce themselves. They just quietly drain what you've worked so hard to build until the day you decide to go looking. Today, you went looking, and that changes everything. Thanks for listening to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner,